Here are the 3 levels to confidence. I'll show you some Stoic principles to master your confidence and why introverts like me find it easier to go from mastery straight to level 3. First, the 3 levels to confidence and which level you might be. Level 1, confidence. This is achieved using intellect, wit, and willpower to appear confident and dominant. Level 2, master of confidence. This is when you can do all the things you want to do without restriction of self-belief. People like comedians, actors, YouTubers, leaders, they have developed confidence through effort. And level 3, not giving a This is when you don't take part in the structure, therefore you do not need confidence. These people just don't care, yet appear the most confident. And level 0, which is probably where you're at, and it's where I was at, your lack of confidence holds you back in life and may even trouble you. Yes, some people are born at level 2 and some, such as myself, -2, but why care about that when you can skip straight to level 3 using simple Stoic principles taught by an emperor, a slave, and a billionaire? During the course of writing my book, I came up with the idea for this video. I'd realized that I went from being nervous with 0 confidence to not caring and be able to do anything I want. I was now doing things that only the super confident could do, and confidence never came into the equation for me.
I have no confidence. How do I get to level 1?
Level 1, confidence. This isn't as bad as it seems and can help you build real confidence, and is a necessary level to improve on. If you start at level 1, yourself and people around you instantly will notice a huge improvement. Level 1 is achieved through application of effort. You see this with people who have watched one too many videos on how to be charismatic, how to talk to girls, how to be confident. You follow the rules. Sit like this, keep eye contact, slow down your talking. All of these things can help you to appear confident, but they require force. And when the force has gone, so has the confidence. These tricks can actually work and create empirical evidence of confidence, which leads to real confidence. I have used some of these tricks myself, and they have led to real confidence and to me being able to express myself better to the world. When I was younger, I struggled with eye contact. I struggled so much that if I was talking to someone, I'll keep my eyes diverted to the floor or some random decoration on the walls, and if anyone ever looked me directly in the eyes, I'll quickly look away. One day, I was scrolling through Reddit looking at psychology facts, and I was scrolling through the thread and I seen a trick on how to maintain eye contact with people. The trick was to look directly in the center of people's eyes at the bridge of their nose. The next conversation I had with someone, I looked directly into this point on their face. I was no longer nervous to look at people and I could maintain some form of connection and contact. After a few weeks of trying this trick out, I suddenly noticed that I was no longer trying the trick and I could easily maintain eye contact with people, and it was no longer a thought of apprehension or nervousness. It was easy. Something else I really struggled with was speaking in conversation. When it was my turn to speak, my chest would tighten up, I would get nervous, and I wouldn't know what to say. I would start mumbling. I would think, oh, I look like an idiot. This would cause more anxiety, more nervousness, and I'd leave the situation feeling a sense of dread and embarrassment. I was watching some advert and the guy was trying to express how confident he was so that he could sell his scam. And during this advert, he explained that you want to swap out any ums, ahs, just swap it for a pause. He said it's okay to pause. So I decided to try implement this into my life, and when I didn't know what to say, I thought I'd just pause. And I paused for a while, and I realized I can just pause and think about what I'm saying, and after a few weeks of doing this, it became more natural to me. I stopped umming and ahhing. These tricks are great and they can really help you, but they should never be the end goal.
But how do I get to level 2?
Level 2, master of confidence. This is when you actually become confident. Some people are born like this, and some people, like myself, have to gain it. If you are like me, then you need evidence to achieve level 2. Don't worry, this is easier than it sounds, and anyone can do it. Level 1 was achieved through application of efforts. Level 2 is achieved through application of courage. Courage to step outside of your comfort zone. It happens through practice. Through trial and error, we improve. You want to get more confident at socializing? Then socialize more. Exposure usually leads to improvement. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more your comfort zone grows. However, there is a chance that this can actually have the reverse effects and damage your confidence, and this is something that self-help gurus will never teach you. So, how do you do this? How can it be bad? And how do you avoid it being bad? I always struggled with my confidence, especially with socializing, so I'd drink a lot to aid me. Substances don't help, as they can't always be there for you. And if they are always there for you, then you have a bigger problem. I always wanted to be more confident to facilitate the good I wanted to put out into this world, as my own nerves and anxiety held me back. With the line of work that I'm in filming, I had the chance to work with very high profile people. I flew outside of my comfort zone, way outside of my comfort zone, meeting these people. I placed huge value on these people, so much so that the weeks leading up to meeting them and working with them, I felt sick to my stomach, I couldn't sleep, I was so anxious, and the overall experience was negative to me. I would hide away to recharge my social batteries and forget about this whole horrible experience until a few months later, I would restart the cycle, which you would think if you did these big steps outside of your comfort zone, things would improve, but they didn't. So, how did I improve? It was through small steps. Another thing that happened in my line of work was to facilitate certain projects. I had to jump on Zoom calls with people, and these Zoom calls were a few times a day, which weren't as nerve-wracking as meeting these great famous people. I'd do one call and feel okay by the end of it. Then I'd do another call, feel okay by the end of it. The next day, a few more calls. And over the months of doing these small little calls every day, my confidence grew and grew because I didn't damage my confidence by doing something too far outside of my comfort zone. I was stepping out one step outside my comfort zone every single day, and the comfort zone was expanding and expanding. Consistency. Consistent small efforts lead to improvements, and improvements feel good. And then it becomes addictive to chase that good feeling. So progress starts to come naturally. For the average viewer who's saying, I don't have to jump on Zoom calls every day to manage big projects, well, this is easier than you think, and it's something I incorporate into my every single day. For me to improve on level 2, I've seen it all as a game, where every interaction I take in life is a mission. And when I complete the mission, I gain points towards my confidence and character. And when I perform really well, then I receive more points to my confidence and to my character. This progress actually becomes addictive, and it is relatively easy. Try to do this on my commute to remind myself to walk tall, look people in the eyes, smile at people, say good morning. And every time I interact with one person, it develops my confidence. I do it in my emails. Maybe I'll overstep my boundaries that I've set, type something a little bit cringy, but it's all in the name of improving my character and improving my confidence. In the past, I send something cringy and I'll be thinking about it for a while. Now I just send things, and if someone's really going to judge me for saying something polite or kind or something funny, then that's their problem, not mine. I went through my whole life thinking I wasn't confident, and I told people this, and I told myself this. This is the narrative and the story I had created for myself. And one day I was talking to an expert because I wanted the confidence to be able to write a book, to be able to put myself out there, to be able to manage the campaigns, to be able to market the book using my own image and feel confident that my words and my delivery is actually helping people. I didn't have these things because I believed I wasn't confident. But she told me, she said, "You're so much more confident than you think you are." I didn't believe this, so she said, "You want me to prove it to you, and you can do this right now. Write down reasons why I was confident." And I thought, I can talk to my friends. If it's one of my hobbies, like a film, I can talk to a group of people, make them all laugh, tell them a story about this film. And I thought, yeah, it does take confidence to talk to a group of people, regardless if they're my friends. This is transferable. If I can improve on talking to a group of 5 of my friends to a group of 5 random strangers, there's not much difference, and that I seen as extreme confidence. You don't actually need confidence to do the things that appear to require tons of confidence to do. And this may be an easy step for some of you, like myself.
I'm an introvert. How do I not give a f?
All you need to do is stop playing the game. And there are 3 ways to stop playing the game, as explained by 3 ancient Stoics. Number 1, as explained by the philosopher king, Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He liked to break things down and strip their power. This works to remove desire, nerves, and fear. The more value you put on something, the more pressure it puts on you. It is perceived value of something that gives its control over us. Remove that value and you remove the control. What requires more confidence? Talking to a shopkeeper or talking to Oprah? Now 99% of you will probably say Oprah, because you place a higher value on Oprah. If you didn't care who she was, then you would feel the same way about both people. So you don't necessarily need more confidence. You can remove perceived value from things. The basic idea is, if you remove all the excess you add to something, then all you get is the thing itself, which is never as fearful or desirable as your imagination makes it out to be. During his book, The Meditations, Marcus Aurelius never adds to anything. A man that suffered with illness his whole life, fought in the Marcomannic Wars, losing 9 of his own children. He led a nation and had to make difficult decisions, but when you read his book, you'll never know any of this because he doesn't add weight to anything. He writes it as if his life was mundane, and that's why the book's so understandable to everyone. It's so applicable to our lives, even if we're not fighting in the Marcomannic Wars or leading a nation. So, as he says, whether you are talking to 10 people or 10,000 people, all you're really doing is producing sound with your mouth. The rest doesn't matter. An extreme example of removing values so that you appear ultra confident is the story of Diogenes the Cynic meeting Alexander the Great. So Diogenes was a naked man living in a barrel, and he didn't care for much, but he was famous for not caring. And one day, the great Alexander came to visit him. "I'll give you anything, what do you require?" And Diogenes, laying there naked on the dusty ground, looked up at the great Alexander and he said, "Can you move out of the way of the sun?" Most people would have been so nervous to meet Alexander the Great, just the name alone, Alexander the Great. But Diogenes couldn't care if it was Alexander the Great or the man at the library or the baker. Doesn't matter to him, they're just people, and what he wanted was to lay under the sun, so that's all that really mattered to him. So he had no nerves to talk to Alexander the Great. And you know what Alexander said to him? "If I wasn't Alexander the Great, I would choose to be Diogenes." Diogenes replied to that, "If I wasn't Diogenes, I would also like to be Diogenes." Number 2, as explained by Epictetus, the Greek-born crippled slave turned philosopher. And I think that this principle is the most important. Virtue is the only good. Aim for virtue. He said, "When we go to the public baths, remember that you'll be pushed, shoved, and splashed." He makes us aware that yes, there are rude people, but states that the only important thing to do is what you can control. You control your character. If this is the most important thing, then nothing else can faze you. You won't get nervous to do public speaking if your only goal is to do good and stay true to your character. This is why people who are so passionate about doing good seem to be boundless and without restriction. Someone I can think of is Steve Irwin. He was so passionate about his cause that nothing could stop him. He could stood in front of a crowd of 1 million and said his mission statement and it wouldn't have fazed him because his passion of doing good would lead through it. Remind yourself daily that virtue is the only good and strive towards improving your character. If this reminder is so ingrained into your mind, then nothing will faze you. Number 3, from Lucius Annaeus Seneca, the Roman billionaire. A famous mantra from the Stoics is memento mori. This is a reminder of your own mortality and literally translates to remember death. Seneca expands on this in his writing on the shortness of life, and this is something that drastically and instantly improved my life. As Diogenes once said, the sure way to secure freedom is to die cheerfully. The concept is that if we lose our fear of death and also accept death as a certainty and that our life is limited and precious, most our fears and nerves wash away. The Stoics would meditate on death daily. The modern way that I like to do that is to use a memento mori calendar, as this is a visceral reminder of your own mortality every single day when you see this. There are many great stories of the Stoics accepting their death, and history remembers them greatly. But one story that sticks out to me the most is the story of Diogenes the Cynic. Diogenes stood before his followers, was talking about his wishes for his death. Diogenes said to his followers, "Throw me over the city walls and leave my body there." His followers were not too pleased with his statement and said, "But the wild animals will feast on your remains." Diogenes replied, "Well, give me a staff so I can beat them away." If you knew that you would die today, what fear would you have of public speaking or acting on your dream or telling someone the truth? The Stoics live like this every single day, so they never have fear of doing these things. With these three principles combined, you remove perceived value, you focus on what you can control, and you give your energy to what is truly important. At all times, keep this quote in mind. And this is the one thing I remind myself daily. You don't have time to waste thinking about when you'll live your life and when you'll realize your potential. You could die tomorrow. That day may never come. Right now, make today the day when you live your life and realize your potential. So begin now to push yourself slightly outside of your comfort zone daily and remind yourself what is truly important.